Peace and love, 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 love. Grand Rising, I hope all is well. Happy Friday. Welcome to Conundrums of Blackness, episode number 1. Thank you for spending some of your energy with me, your time. I appreciate you. So, I thought I wasn't going to write anything down because this it's hard to even write this down, to even put us as a people, as a family, as a community into a sentence. I'm noticing the more I research, the harder it is for me to pinpoint my where I was with my book anymore. I'm not in the same space. As information grows you, well, it's supposed to, if it's the correct information for your particular line of growth. I I've had other revelations and other. I'm having levels of comprehensions where I really wasn't looking for them, if that makes sense. I was writing a book about adoption, me being adopted, me looking for my family, finding my family, and that was like the tip of the iceberg. So there's so many other levels and layers and people and actors and pieces and history and constructs and on and on and on. There's so many layers. My goodness. I'm reading a document. I can't say the exact date, but I know it's in the 1700s from Virginia. And the more you know, the more you grow. That's how I'm going to say that. I am seeing so many correlations in present day family frequencies. Even growing up, I'm not even going to, I don't really have to go modern with it because for me, I'm trying to figure out what is the easiest way to do this. Number one, I'm going to have to take this slow because I'm actually processing this process actively. So, conundrums of blackness. I'm trying to learn what happened to us as a people, what happened to my community. I often think of when they dropped the bomb on us in Philadelphia, and I remember no one ever asked any of us children were like were we okay? And that's so weird to me now. But clearly back then I don't know. Doing all this studying is bringing back memories of how I wasn't mindful enough. I can't say that. I can't say that because I did ask questions. I just never got the answers that I probably wanted. And for whatever reasons, I won't hold anyone to that. When you're a child, you notice things. And I had to sit down and say, okay, we're living in this construct. What is the breakdown of the generations? Even though I know when I look up, say, baby boomers or silent generation, the information is not going to be geared to my family and my people, maybe a select few, but as a whole, no, it's not. How can I say that? What am I talking about? Okay, so I have four parents. That sounds strange. It shouldn't during these times, but I have four parents. I have two biological parents, and I have two adopted parents. So I have four parents. Period. One of them, only one, is a baby boomer, and I'm looking at how they group the generations, by the years, and looking at my mother, baby boomer mother. Her mother was not too far away from her because if 46, let's say 42 would be the end. See, there we go. I have one baby boomer parent out of four. One. The other three parents, the youngest is coming at the end of, no, not, yeah, the end of the silent generation. The silent generation, that's going to be where I'm going to be at today, but I want to identify all of these generations because my parents spanned them. So the youngest would be the baby boomer. We have one of those. End of the silent generation, 42, we have a grandparent, actually, not even a parent. Um, then we're going to go to the GI, and I believe the GI is the greatest generation, 1901 to 27. I have two parents in this generation. One I did not live with, one I did from the greatest generation. That's my adopted mom. I love you, mommy. This is for you, baby girl. Baby girl, baby girl. And then we can go to my adopted mother's husband, my dad. He was born in the lost generation. I mean, they would probably be 100 and something today or more. So, okay, generationally, I'm all over the place. General, oh my goodness, generationally. Listen, for the generations, I'm all over the place. We've got the baby boomer, one parent, I did not live with her. And who I did live with were the lost generation and the greatest generation. You can look these generations up. This is the only way I can communicate this on a level where everyone, can kind of get this. Because, like I said, I'm all over the place. So I've been working on genealogy now for 4 years, maybe. Seriously, for three, maybe four, coming up on four. And I, of course, normally, if I would say if you're into genealogy, I would hope like you're big on family. I mean, I would assume that. I don't know. Like, I don't know a lot of genealogists, but it's got me thinking about family. And peace and love, Karima, my love. How are you, sweetie? I hope all is well. When I tell you, I moved my whole studio to my bed. My back is killing me. But when I get done here, I'm gonna do some exercises because I've been sitting down on the computer for a long time for numerous hours and you know how that goes. So welcome again to Conundrums of Blackness, episode 1. I wanted to establish before, because we're gonna have to take this slow. Simply for me, because when I tell you, I'm learning so much really fast, but I'm also going through this growth process and realizing like, a lot of these things that are associated with these different generations, especially the lost generation and the GI generation, the greatest generation. And I hate to go back so far, but these are my parents. I'm a glitch, clearly. There's so many things since I've been doing this research recently. I'm having memories that, I don't really, I can't say like I've always had them. I'm thinking more of when I was younger and things, my mom used to say, because she was in her 70s when I was a child. When I was born, she was 65, and her husband was my adopted parents. He was 70, 70 something. I forget. I have to like write this stuff down, even pull it out exactly. But I just remember there were ways that they had, like even my sister mentioned it, and I don't hear people talk about it a lot anymore. But like the seen and not heard children were seen and not heard, and there's a lot of other things, but I'm not gonna get into that just yet. But I was reading a lot of these documents and really valuing the information to each person in their whole lifetime and studying what they went through, like the wars, the segregation. And I remember when I was in school, in high school, and I was very smart for a I was very smart to be so young. And I remember the looks I used to get from the people in the office. The day my mom took me to the school in North Carolina, and they couldn't believe when because they test you to see where you're supposed to be. And I just remember going to school and learning what they taught me very well. And then when I would get home and I would talk to my mother, because my father passed when I was 8. And after that, we moved down south. And I just remember so many moments where she she was very closed, very closed. And I noticed that. And mind you, I'm not sitting here saying like, as that little girl, I knew anything. I had no idea because I was a bad little girl, and I if I like the information I know now, I would just be so different with her. I would welcome a big fan of cats. Welcome, peace and love. I would not a glitch. I simply meant my love. Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe that. I really do. Peace and love. I love cats too. I had a cat named Sassy, me and my mom. I'll probably get to that later too, later on in the podcast. So I want to welcome you to Conundrums of Blackness, where I'm talking about the prejudices. I even don't like using that word, but I mean, that's what it is. The prejudices and the hate that we have towards each other in our communities, and honestly, to any community this may apply to. I'm not just going to single us out, but I am definitely talking from a perspective that I only have. And family It's becoming very important to me, especially after all that I'm learning on this genealogy journey I'm on. And we're going to have some updates soon on that. Please like and subscribe, share this video. Please also, if you would like to talk about a topic specific to this core foundation, please email me. My email is not at the bottom. Shell from the block at gmail.com. We can talk about it, see what you got to offer. All are welcome, and I do mean all. I want to thank you for giving me some of your energy and sharing your time with me here today. So, I was trying to first lay the foundation of who we're going to be talking about because I can't get away from the history aspect of this at all. As much as I don't want to address uh, American history, I will try my best to go around it as much as possible, simply because we all know where we are and most of us know what has happened here. Many of us do not. Like myself, I lived a long time and I was very unaware of what my parents, even my parents, I stated earlier, I have one baby boomer parent and I have four parents, adopted and biological. They're all my parents. They're all my family. And the rest of them, two are from the greatest generation. That's 1901 to 27. And my adopted father, he is from the lost generation. So again, I'm all over the place. I learned so much from them, not knowing that I was a student. I have to say that like that because I really want to honor them in this episode. I had no idea. I have to say it again. I don't have. I had no idea what they truly had to endure. And I don't know, I have some theories about what's going on with us today. And I don't have all the answers, but I have good questions. I used to get in trouble with my questions, okay? I have beautiful questions. What there's so many things that I had to ask myself when I decided to fix my life and go into the shelter. After so many hills that I refuse to keep climbing with my family, and this is not to bring up old stuff. People always say that I'm always bringing up old stuff, or they probably want to say it to me and they just don't, but that is not what we do. That is not my purpose. My purpose is not to single anyone out. If it was, I would name names. I'm not doing that. I have references to what is going on. I have to use the evidence. You know, um, we have a lot of issues, and sometimes the only way you can actually deal with something is by analyzing it, comprehending it, being mindful of it first. Like that's the first key. And after you've seen your brother murdered, seeing your mother suffering alive, like her family, like all of these things going on, wondering why my adopted mother was so cold. I couldn't understand it, but then I internalized it because I said, "Well, I'm adopted," so I was wrong, of course. She loved me. I was terrible. She loved me. I didn't understand her. I didn't understand what they went through in the South, born in 1914. I had no idea. As I read these documents and pulling out these names and these descriptions of what they were called and how they were labeled, I do know repetition is repetition. And I'm reading documents from the 1700s, and why does that feel? I'm not saying completely familiar, but the frequency of, like, I want to say contempt, but a coldness. It's this coldness. Every time I read this document, I read it, I get as far as I can go, and then I have to go to sleep. And then I think about my mother before she passed, and she always said, I have to see my grandbaby. I have to see my grandbaby before I leave here, but I'm ready to leave here. And I used to tell her, why are you talking like that? Like, don't say stuff like that. I'm already like at stroke level. Literally, my health was a mess when I was pregnant. I was like, Mom, you're gonna end me if you keep talking like that. And it was amazing when we got to her, and she was 92 years old, still in her right mind. I have so many memories. And she was crying. I remember the whole day, but she cried. And I never understood her cry. I could not comprehend why she was crying. And even now, I think about that day and I hear her saying, I'm ready, I'm just ready to go home. And I don't mean to make you sad because I don't get sad about my family on that side passing because they were so old. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. You cannot live, I don't think you live forever. So, she taught me so much when it comes to strength and grief. So I look at it differently. She definitely lived a full life. She was in a world war. She was in Europe. She was touring everywhere. She knew languages. I wish I had known. And I blame myself a lot sometimes. Sometimes I do beat myself up because I deserve it. Because she was a jewel. She was an elder. And I didn't even have the concept of what an elder even was. Because she was so closed. Whatever it was, she took it to her grave. And that part there, what all did she carry with her? And then I multiply that by all of my ancestors, and whoa, we've got a ball of conundrums. Not to say everyone, I want to say, not to say everyone had it bad, but unless you were stepping outside of yourself during these times that they were coming up, it was rough. And her cry, I, she didn't want to leave us, but she was ready to leave here. And it took me 44 years to understand that cry. And I sit here today and I honor the silent generation, my one baby boomer mother, and all of the others, of course. The greatest generation, the GI generation, and also the lost generation. I remember I have lovely members of my dad. My dad was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. Even though I got to meet him at the end of his life, he was 70 something. These people left here with so much information. And yet, Yes, my sister Karima lived a full life. Yes, yes. They left here with so much information, and I look at my family tree and I notice I have 17 aunts and uncles. 17. And that makes me sad because I don't have a connection with any of them except for one. And that is my last living aunt on my adopted mother's side. I believe she's 95. She lived longer than I believe any of them. She's still here. I love you, Aunt Mommy Lil. And notice I call her Aunt Mommy. She's the baby of all of my aunts and uncles on my adopted mom, which is my mother. On her side, I think there was like 13, 14, 15 of them, I think. I forget. It's so much. As a matter of fact, I have 17 blood aunts and uncles, and I believe it was 13 adopted. Where is my family? That is something else. And I sit and I say, what happened to the reunions? What happened to us, getting together? I used to love those times. But something happened. People died without a safe space or a balanced environment or without the respect from the younger generation coming up behind them to go back and find out, like, why we not okay, my mom? Or how did we get that business, my mom? Or great grandpa? Some of us listen, these generations are getting younger. To me, like the parents are getting younger and younger and younger since I was in high school. I'm amazed that I have a grandparent that was born in 1884. I'm very proud of that, even though the situation is a little hairy, but you know, it's history. It is the story of how I got here. I represent a lot of different people, and they all have this story that is like a part of me. And the more I learn, the more it adds up. But for a long time, I didn't know I was supposed to be learning these things or asking these questions or having these thoughts, wondering who, what, when, where, how am I supposed to be? Who? For me, I've always asked that question, being adopted and not being comfortable in it. I'll just say, you know, I never really got to smooth into things since my adoption wasn't closed. Well, it was closed, but you know, free will. So I've always asked, even before I knew I was asking these things, I was always wondering, like what is going on here? Philadelphia did it. I won't lie. The 80s Philadelphia like woke me up as I don't when people say I don't know, I've never really played as a child. I've always had to think and try to figure out like what is going on. I saw the first shooting ever at 4 years old, going to school, Catholic school at that, with my little Catholic uniform on. And it's just like you get to a certain age, and it's like okay, but why aren't Why aren't we better as a people? Even though I'm only one person, I just sometimes ask that question and then I go back to the family and the conundrums of these labels that I've worn. I won't even call anyone out. I've worn them. I I know it's the education. I do know that. I never learned I was black at home. I learned I was black at school and in society. What is the point of that if that's not truly who I am? Could it be something that can actually harm me if I believe it, even though I'm supposed to trust the people that taught it to me? Because I've been through that. And I grew up trusting everything every adult ever said because this is what the silent generation told us to do. Children are seen and not heard, meaning you don't ask questions. You learn this, and this is the truth. Because why? Because I said so. Don't ask why. Do you know why? See, I was always called honorary because I always ask that question under my breath. And then I'd get a whooping. Almost as if it's so strange. It's almost as if I was to be broken and I would not break because I still have these questions. Wow. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Ooh. 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 Well, I messed that up. I forgot I got my mouse right here. Wow. Yes. The system amped the family to division and changed life the way many know it now. Yeah. And it's kind of spelled out somewhat in the Moynihan report. It just doesn't go in as comprehensively as AB 3121 does. But yes, everything is connected. I mean, forgetting is okay for those who can, but I don't really forgetting didn't work for me. I'm grateful for this beautiful start for episode 1, Conundrums of Blackness, giving honor to the silent generation, the GI generation, the baby boomers, and also we cannot forget the lost generation. I am so proud of my parents. I'm gaining a strength of pride in who I am. And that was hard for me to do before I took on this journey to literally do my DNA in my tree. Forgive me. And I'm doing both trees because I feel like, well, here's one thing I will say. I've noticed that my adopted mother may be distantly related to me due to the age gap between my baby boomer side and them, like all of them. Because older generations on my baby boomer side was in the same area as my family. I don't want to say the last names down south. So, it's just amazing how things happened and are happening. And are like things are unfolding, and I really do believe that I was given this opportunity to have these beautiful people in my life to even use as a reference because I remember my mother and my father very well, and I just wish I knew a lot more back then because I would have had amazing questions for them. I would have rocked every history product. Well, they probably would have put me out to school back then because I noticed their stories were not safe at school. If I said anything about what they said at home, I would get in trouble. Yeah, I would get in trouble, especially about the war thing. We were taught, the people, because like we're being taught and told how soldiers came home and were treated and glorified, but they're not talking about our ancestors. And our ancestors didn't have a choice to go to the war. Like every single male on all of my trees, okay, who, all of them, okay, they weren't just signing up like, yeah, we want to fight for this place. And if they did, they clearly thought they were fighting for their respect, which they never got. And I didn't know that I was going to get in trouble telling, because my mom was in World War II. My dad, her husband, was in World War One and World War II. Okay. And Vietnam, like they were in all of those. All of those. And my biological father was in World War II, and I believe Vietnam as well. So, like, stuff happened to them. They were treated terribly. So, when I hear, the salutes and stuff, it's like they're really being left out because nobody's really telling the story of what happened to them. Like, I remember my mom's tears before she passed. And I don't mean like the day like, she saw my baby, she held my baby, and then she got sick and she had to go to the hospital and she lived like a week later. But before like she went to the hospital, I know she just wanted to tell me so much. And I feel her a lot as I read over these documents and I do this research. I feel her the most. Like she's the closest energy to me. Besides, I'm not even gonna get into all that. But yeah, she's very, very like I'm always thinking about her. I'm always like she always something reminds me of her. Or this perfume she used to wear, and I don't think it's even probably made anymore. It used to come in a bottle where the bottle looked like a dress. It was smelled so divine. I think of it often, you know, and it's just I love the fact that a lot of us realize that we as a family and as a people and as individuals have a lot of work to do internally. I try my best to become the best parent I could be because of the imagery that is portrayed here for someone of my complexion. Because I don't want to define my race on here because as you like we got genealogy and chill, we're not even gonna get into all of that. I don't like identifying with black. I don't individually at all like identifying with it. I have a grandmother that passed for white, so I just I feel like if I know something isn't good for me, how do I embrace it? I don't understand that because I worked through this like what do you call it? Like abusive relationship stuff when I was younger and I learned you can't keep letting something or someone, people, places or things damage you. or hurt you and you continue to embrace it, you have to let go. So I'm not saying an identity crisis is needed, but I do believe for me, I had to do a lot of switching around from what I was taught and how I was treated generationally. Yeah, we do evolve, but there are so many issues still being generated through us from these generations that never, ever, 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 ever had a voice. And this is just a thought. I'm not attacking this problem like I'm getting ready to save the world. I listen, I got agoraphobia. I don't even like being out in crowds like that. I'm not for that anymore. This place has burnt me out with that. But I do like growth. And it took a lot of self care, self analyzing, self accountability for me to get this strength that I rock with every day. As a parent, as someone who's looked at from a whole society as this identity that I keep telling people stop calling me that, stop looking at me like that, and it still don't matter because it's embedded into this system. Ugh, it's exhausting. I'm not gonna lie, it's exhausting. And as exhausting it is for me as an individual, it has squeezed the family, the community. I can barely get along with some parts on my tree. Why is that? Oh, because things happen with the baby boomers coming out of the silent generation, which came from the greatest generation, which came from the lost generation. There's so many secrets, shadows. What my cousin Ford called it? She called it shadow families. Oh my goodness, I'm not even gonna get into that. We're gonna deal with that on another day. I want to thank you for joining me. These are just thoughts and questions. I have so many theories, but I didn't want to write anything down because I wanted this to come naturally. Simply because this has been on my mind to do for a while, but I didn't want to come at it where it would seem negative. I want this to be positive because when you're doing shadow work, when you're doing growth work, when you're doing self analysis, like you have to remove the negative aspects of it all. Like no negativity is allowed. I'm actually honoring my parents, my one baby boomer parent, my silent generation parent, my greatest generation parents, and my lost generation parent with this episode. I love you guys. I hope they are proud of all I fought to learn, all that has been revealed, and all that will be revealed. I really, 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 really hope they're proud. I just hope they're proud. I'm amazed at everything that they endured from generation to generation, but this is what I do know. We've forgotten and we've disrespected their existence. I'll even take that back. I have. I forgot. I didn't remember. I didn't ask the right questions. I don't know if maybe this is what we're missing. Being able to share these stories of what they've been through because they had to be quiet. So maybe we didn't get to learn what happened to them. and how they were able to see in our faces with smiles and love on us the best way they could. I can say my mom was rough. Whew, she was rough, okay? Whew, those beatings still give me chills. But she loved me the best way she could. And sometimes I used to cry and I used to be like, I want my real mom. And my uncle would say, I'd ask my uncle, why she hate me so much? 'Cause she just was so closed. And I just want to put in the atmosphere. I understand. I understand. I really feel her now. I really do. The miseducation that they had to endure, the pressures of just evilness, and just still waking up every day singing those hymns, just hanging on by a thread. Because she cried before she died. And those tears were nothing but her soul finally being cleansed of everything she never got to say. Like the day she told me her native name. I got in trouble for that the next day too. I think I got suspended for that. And she looked me in my eyes and she was terrified still. That little girl whose mother probably told her, you can't tell nobody. You can't speak, Cherry. You cannot speak the name of who you are. 90 something years old and she literally was still scared. I'm probably the only person she ever even said that to. And she never mentioned it again. I am so grateful for your energy. Thank you for tuning in for Conundrums of Blackness, Episode 1, Silent Generation. Peace and love. This is a topic that means a lot to me because honestly, I cannot fix anyone but myself. And yet I still want to see us be good. I want to see us be great. I want to see us supporting each other. I want to see us standing tall and representing our ancestors, remembering them. I don't see anything wrong with remembering your ancestors. Like, I searched my whole life and I'm still searching. And I am grateful for all of the family members that I have been able to connect with this past week. This is the most beautiful process that I hope everyone gets to experience. Putting the puzzle back together because we are the pieces. And I believe it's doable. I believe it's doable. I believe it's doable. If I can do it, anybody can do this. Now, I don't know what your journey is going to look like because I had no idea what I was getting myself into just being born. Because that's where this started for me. But it's all connected. And that's the beautiful part of it. There's so many things I have learned and so much more that I have to comprehend and compare myself to. I don't have to repeat the pain if I know better, I can do better. If I know better, I can do better. So it's my job to make sure I'm searching for ways to know better. Meditation, I need guided meditation because I'm special. I'm serious. I'm special. I need guided meditation and it has to be themed, but we all have our own journey. So sometimes I just decide to build a podcast and share my journey within this podcast. So this was episode 1, Conundrums of Blackness. Proud of you. I know that they are for sure. Thank you, Karima. I believe that. And I'm not even tooting my own horn here. I know that because I was completely wiped. My memory was completely wiped. I would say twice. Okay. At the contract signing and again when I got here. So I did like 3 360s, 3 180s, 4 180s, like 12 of them in one lifetime. And I'm honoring them because I honestly believe that they saved my life. I believe that. I believe that the frequencies from my parents through my DNA, the frequencies from my parents that I was around. I mean, it's not every day you're born to a 65-year-old woman and a 74-year-old man. Like that doesn't happen. Are you kidding me? I mean, it probably could, but like, it's kind of rare. So just the adoption, I call it the golden adoption. It I wish I could do it all over again. I would have been a perfect child. But I don't believe in wishes. Everything happened for a reason. I learned a lot even through the toughest moments of my life. And sometimes you know, we internalize the hurt and the pain and we hold on to it and we get resentment. And believe me, I know I've been there. I've been there. I go there sometimes about my father. But, I don't stay there. That was some advice from his granddaughter, my niece. And I love you. And she said, you can go there, but don't stay there. And that's real. That's how they were, had to endure what they had to endure. And if they can endure what they did, I can do the work to stay together with us. I don't know if anybody else can do it in the family. That's up to you because this is a choice. I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to be the bigger person. I'm choosing to love. Don't play with me though, but yes, I'm choosing this. And it is entirely my choice, my doing, my doing. And I hope that I brought some form of balance because every day you can start over, and that is what I value every day. This is why I say I'm really grateful all the time because I went through so much and I've learned so much and I've came so far. Even though we all haven't came far together, a lot of us individually are doing the work. I want to thank you for joining me. Peace and love. I love you. We're going to do this every Friday. Every Friday. Every Friday. You're welcome. My pleasure. And I enjoy very much. Thank you so much, Karima. You know I love you. You have to know that. I want to give a shout out to DI's TV, Trey 57 Productions. There Will Be Trouble. Please go check them out. Give them some of this good energy that you guys be sharing with me. If you're watching on a replay, I want to thank you. Please make sure you tune in next Friday at 5:55 p.m. I will be waiting for the next subject to manifest, and it's coming because this is very important to me. And again, I want to honor all of my parents. I want to thank you for putting up with me and enduring me and giving me the gift of life. Much respect to all of my ancestors. Much love to you, you, and you. I love you. Peace and love. Oh, make sure you be safe and aware. Okay? I love you.
Social responsibility isn't a deep shift because it's a voluntary tactic, a reaction to a certain market at this point. And as the corporation reads the market differently, it can go back. One day you see Bambi, next day you see Godzilla.
A safe space where facts can be processed for results. Please like, dislike, subscribe. I do subscribe back, okay? Comment, share. I am grateful for your presence here on